Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk to you about a side story that's going on, a plot within the plot. I mean, obviously, the global geopolitics is obsessed with the US and Israeli war with Iran, which is expanded to become a regional war with Iran responding by attacking many countries. But what is also important is the fact that Iran has nearly held the whole of the world's economy hostage by closing the Strait of Hormuz, a reality that should have been apparent to the Trump administration before they invaded Iran, or rather attacked Iran. So the Iranians have managed to completely block the Strait of Hormuz, blocking 20% to 25% of global oil supply and also the same amount of natural gas, and therefore creating an energy shock, which has really upset the global supply chains and is impacting economies everywhere. Because oil is so critical to the economy, the increase in price of gas and oil essentially has an inflationary impact on everything, and therefore it is going on. But there's also another side plot that is going on, which is the India-Pakistan competition for global influence is also playing out in this. And it appears that Pakistan seems to be getting an upper hand in this contest between India and Bangladesh, India and Pakistan, to gain more influence and more acceptance of their point of view in the international arena. First, let me point out that in terms of state capacity and etc., there is hardly any comparison between India and Pakistan. So India is a giant country with 1.45 billion people. It is the fifth biggest economy in the world, just behind the US, China, Germany, and Japan. It's a $4 trillion economy, and it is considered as a very important country because of just the size of its economy and its population, whereas Pakistan is just a developing country, even though it has nuclear weapons and a very professional army. It's a very poor country with about 350 to 400. So it's about 1/10 the size of India, or even less than that. So India is about 11 times bigger than Bangladesh when it comes to the economy. And in population, India is probably 6 times bigger than Pakistan. So there should have been no contest, actually, given the importance of India. But unfortunately, the leadership of India has become extremely incompetent when it comes to foreign policy and diplomacy. India, especially under Prime Minister Modi in the last 2-3 days, has done a lot of self-goals. For example, Modi's visit to Jerusalem just 3 days before the war started, declaring that with full conviction that India stands with Israel, and thereby completely alienating itself from Iran and other countries in the Gulf. India is at the moment the president of BRICS, BRICS. BRICS is a collection of countries with 10 members, of which India and Iran are both members. And for a long time, I mean, the BRICS GDP, if you adjust for purchasing power parity, it is bigger than G7 economically once you adjust for purchasing power with Russia and China and India. But BRICS, which is supposed to be the alternative to G7, the new emerging economies, is silent when one of its members is being attacked by the US and Israel. Iran is a member of BRICS. And the only reason why that is happening is because India is the president, and India is failing to provide the leadership that BRICS countries are seeking. India has completely aligned itself with Israel, and therefore it is actually acting like an Israeli agent, even in the BRICS, unable to have this. When last year, when the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, issued a statement condemning the United States and Israel for attacking Iran, this is 9 months ago. At that time, India was the only dissenter. Because of India, SCO was not able to issue a unanimous statement because India was there. So India's foreign policy nowadays is just about to suck up to the US and suck up to Israel. That is what they are doing. In fact, there are people in India who are using the phrase that Modi likes to say that we are Vishwaguru, we are teachers of the world. But now the opposition has coined a phrase called Vishwachela. So we are a sycophant, we are a servant, global servant, essentially servant to Israel and the United States. So India wants to come closer to the United States. In fact, before Trump's election in 2024, there was a lot of talk about how India's diplomacy is so great because Modi was going around hugging all these big people all over the world. So Modi is hugging Joe Biden repeatedly, Modi is hugging Putin, Modi is hugging Xi Jinping, and so all this chappy diplomacy, as they call it, hugging diplomacy. That was supposed to be that Modi has this great relationship, he's highly respected. Now he's hiding, he's running and hiding from Donald Trump, and he's still trying to be in the good graces of the US because Modi has kept quiet. Modi wants to be the voice of the global South. Modi wants to be India to be the leader on the global stage. India has repeatedly been asking for reforms in the global governance system so that India can become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. But on matters of the global South, India, which calls itself the voice of the global South, is silent. It is absolutely silent. India has said nothing about what has happened in Venezuela, the violation of international norms that Donald Trump perpetrated when he kidnapped essentially the head of a state. India kept silent while there was a genocide going on in Gaza. In fact, actually supplying weapons to Israel while that war was on. India was completely silent when Israel and the US attacked Iran the first time, and then they attacked again Iran the second time when they killed the Iranian head of state, Ayatollah Khamenei, when a school was bombed and 170 girls died. India is quiet. It's as if Modi's lips are sealed. No matter what, I will never say anything critical of the United States or Israel. That is where India has become. It's not an independent or like the word that Dr. Jaishankar likes to use a lot, which is that it enjoys strategic autonomy because it's a powerful country. No, India does not have an independent voice anymore, thanks to Modi's diplomacy. In fact, in India these days, there's a lot of trolling going on with regards to Modi. But after Operation Sindoor, India had an absolute shocker because no one actually came to substantiate India's position, and India suddenly realized that it was not as important a country as it thought it was diplomatically. Nobody condemned Pakistan for cross-border terrorism. That is what India was accusing Pakistan of. In fact, after Operation Sindoor, India made many overtures. I have actually written an article about this, about the diplomatic failures of India after Operation Sindoor. India tried to get Pakistan relisted on the grey list of terrorism sponsorship, but it failed. Even Japan voted against India. And then India tried to block the IMF funding to Pakistan. India failed. IMF passed that loan. India tried to block the World Bank loans to Pakistan this year, which again it failed. And then guess what? Saudi Arabia reaches out to Pakistan and says, let's have a defense pact. And suddenly Pakistan is now important. And then the United States, oh my God, Donald Trump, in his first State of the Union address, thanked Pakistan by name and invited Asim Munir, Pakistan's field marshal, to have lunch with him. And suddenly Pakistan has become an important player. Pakistan is on the board of peace. Pakistan is now collaborating with the United States in bringing about change in Gaza. And what is interesting is that India has been lobbying all over the world, sending delegates to 30 countries, parliamentary delegations, trying to make the point that Pakistan is a terrorist state indulging in cross-border terrorism. But if you look at the United States now lists Pakistan as a reliable and I don't know what exactly the phrase that one of the generals used in his testimony in the Senate, but a very prominent and reliable partner in counterterrorism, because Pakistan has worked with the United States to fight ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. So in that sense, Pakistan seems to be winning the post-Operation Sindoor diplomatic contest between India. And now it's amazing. Donald Trump first calls Asim Munir and has a long conversation with him. And Pakistan is now mediating on behalf of the US and Iran. So Pakistan is basically messenger boy carrying messages from the US to Iran, Iran to US. And other countries also are playing the role, which is Turkey, which is a close partner of Pakistan, which supported Pakistan in Operation Sindoor. And then also Qatar to some extent, and Oman was mentioned, but I don't think Oman is playing any role. And now there's this constant talk that Pakistan is trying to host a dialogue or a diplomatic meeting between the US and the Iranian delegations in Islamabad. I don't know whether that is going to happen. It is quite possible that for security reasons, the Iranians may choose to go to Turkey rather than go to Pakistan, because there's another interesting side story going on with Pakistan, which is Saudi Arabia. Will Saudi Arabia be happy if Pakistan mediates on behalf in a manner which will result in the Iranian regime surviving this war? There are lots of rumors and a lot of leaks from Western media to suggest that even though Prince Mohammed bin Salman is publicly rejecting this war which Israel and America launched against Iran, but in private has encouraged Donald Trump to go all the way and bring about regime change in Iran. But Saudi Arabia is allowing the United States to use its bases. That is something we know. So in terms of actions and words, we know that Saudi Arabia is allowing its land to be used by the United States to attack Iran. We don't know whether it's allowing Israel to use its airspace. I don't even know if Israeli jets are landing in Saudi Arabia or not. There's not much discussion in open sources, but we do know that the Saudi Arabia has allowed, and that's why Iran has been attacking Saudi Arabia. So we don't know whether Saudi Arabia will be happy with Pakistan playing this role, and so it's more likely that the dialogue may happen in Turkey, especially where both Americans and the Iranians may feel more secure. But the very fact that Donald Trump spoke to Munir first, and then at the behest of the American ambassador to India, he just made a call to Modi just to, because now Pakistan and India are re-hyphenated. So nobody now deals with India alone. Now, every time they deal with India, they deal with Pakistan. And so the two countries have been re-hyphenated. This was something that India was working very hard to de-hyphenate, and that has not happened really. But the very fact that we are talking about Pakistan being a mediator, that the Pakistanis have shown some great diplomatic skills in handling Donald Trump. For example, Pakistan has received military aid from Donald Trump 2 times. They have received first a $500 million for their F-16s, and then they received another $700 million, and they got a $1.2 billion, and they got support. So they're already getting aid from the US, military aid, etc. But what is interesting is that after this war started, the Pakistan is split. Shehbaz Sharif started making sounds which are pro-Iran, which is he was critical. He did condemn, unlike Modi, who dare not even mention Trump's name. He gave a 25-minute speech in the parliament. Modi didn't say a word of criticism of the US, nothing. He's just mum, as if he's afraid to utter the word the United States did something wrong. This man who talks about values and humanity, etc., has nothing to say about 70,000 women and children killed in Gaza, or the recent 170 girls killed by the US and Israeli attacks in Iran. Even the infrastructure, the civilian infrastructure that is being destroyed all over the world. It does condemn Iran, though, for attacking the Gulf countries. But what the Pakistanis did was that Shehbaz Sharif condemned the United States and Israeli attacks, and Asim Munir continues to work proactively with both Saudi Arabia and Trump. So Asim Munir, the field marshal, is talking to Trump on the phone. He actually went to Saudi Arabia to meet Mohammed bin Salman. Saudi Arabia is the de facto leader of the Gulf countries, GCC. Apparently, even though they are all together, there's profound disagreement, especially between UAE and Saudi Arabia. And after Pakistan and Saudi Arabia agreed upon a mutual defense agreement, UAE's Sheikh flew to India for 3 hours, and I don't know what they did. It's not a defense agreement, a mutual defense agreement, because India is not supporting UAE while it is being attacked. And in fact, the biggest, I think, attacks from Iran after Israel have been on UAE and its infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, and especially its oil infrastructure, even hitting targets outside the Persian Gulf area. So what has really happened now is that whether it is Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, or whether it is the United States, when they're looking at South Asia for a diplomatic partner, for a counterterrorism partner, they're not looking at India. India is a big market. They want to sell a lot of things. They want to sell a lot of soya beans and agriculture to India, and Trump is putting a lot of pressure on India to open. But they're not looking at India as a partner. They're looking at it as a market to sell stuff to. But now they're looking to Pakistan as a strategic partner in a dialogue, inviting them to be participation in the Board of Peace. India was invited. India did not go. So the point that I'm trying to make is that one side story in this whole show is the shall we call it the sideshow, is the India-Pakistan diplomatic contest, and India's efforts to alienate Pakistan are failing. So those who are watching in India, when we criticize the Modi government, don't confuse Modi with India. Modi does not even represent all of India. The BJP government is a minority government. It was bragging that it would get 400 seats. It did not even get 250. It's around 240 seats. It's a minority government supported by regional parties from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. And BJP never in its history got more than 37% of the vote in India. So only 1 out of 3 people support BJP and Modi in India consistently, because the opposition is in complete disarray, and because the Congress party has lost a lot of its support nationally, and the rise of regional parties, that BJP is successfully winning elections and Modi is becoming prime minister, but he's never won 40% of the Indian vote. So for people who think that being critical of Modi is being critical of India, it's wrong. Modi's diplomacy, which is silent, God knows why he's silent. Some people say because there's something in the Epstein files which could hurt him. Donald Trump has something. Remember Donald Trump saying that I don't want to destroy his political career. Maybe he has a hold on Gautam Adani's money. Whatever it is, we don't know what the reason is. And Modi doesn't take questions unless the questions are stupid, like do you suck on mangoes or do you cut and eat mangoes? That is the level of intellectual level that Modi engages with in India. But he's not taking questions on the geopolitics of the world as to why India has not done this or that. Nothing. Nobody does in India. There's no such, the concept of a press conference doesn't exist in India. India talks about democracy, but there's no freedom of press. The press people, because the advertising is controlled by the government in India, most people, media just parrots whatever the government says. So for example, I was just looking on X, a lot of India's mainstream channels were applauding that Trump is consulting with Modi. He called him this week. That is nearly a month after the war started. So after like 3.5 weeks, Trump remembers Modi and gives him a protocol call to the biggest country in the world, the biggest democracy in the world, the 5th biggest economy in the world. Trump gives him a call and talks about the importance of opening Hormuz, and India is thrilled that suddenly India has been affirmed as a great power. This is how the Indian media is reacting when they should be asking the question, why did he call Pakistan first and then call India next? The reason why he called India is because he spoke with Pakistan. And then the US ambassador to India said, oh, the Indians are going to get very upset and we're going to be humiliated because then Modi is going to look terrible. You have to make Modi look good because these days the government of India is not interested in India's national interests. They're only interested in Modi's image and protecting the government of Modi and somehow to make sure that it survives and then comes back in 2029. So while this war continues, there's a huge impact. The realignment is going to take place in the Middle East. We don't know what's going to come out. Is Donald Trump going to send troops on the ground? If he does, it's going to have a huge impact. Already his statement not to target Iran's power infrastructure and energy infrastructure has brought down temporarily the price of gas and oil, but it is still at 95. Let me just check as we speak. It had gone up to 119 and then was stable for several days at 106, and now it is 96, so it is down by $10. But it is only compared to last week that it is down. But if you go back to the pre-war numbers, oil was $65 per barrel. This is Brent oil is what is relevant for global markets. And now it's 96. And for those of you who are watching, in India, the war has lots of impact. Thousands and thousands of restaurants and hotels are shutting down in India. There is a huge gas shortage. I was reading about how stuff in Hyderabad has become so difficult to find gas cylinders, cooking gas cylinders. But Indian rupee has taken a tumble too. It went from 88, 89 to 94. It is at 93.9 right now as we speak. And similar impact is across the globe. Even in Pakistan, they had to shut down schools, etc. Because there are energy shortages. And there are going to be soon power cuts in Pakistan, apparently, because if this continues. So, yes, this war is going to have a global impact. But one thing that has become very clear is that when big issues happen in the world is not turning to India. Only Indians think this, that India is the most important country or an important country in the world. No, apparently it is not to the United States. And India's foreign policy seems to be to just get into the good books of the West. India is abandoning its old friends like Russia. India used to buy 70% of its weapons from Russia, and now it's abandoning Russia, brought it down to, I think, 35%, and just buying from the West, from US, drones and engines, from Israel. India is the biggest customer of Israel for defense, and all those billions and billions of dollars versus Rafale jets from Japan, from France. So India is chasing the West, and the West doesn't seem to care about India diplomatically at the moment. And that must be terrible. I think the current government, for whatever reason, is not able to take stance. Can you imagine a ship that came to India, for example, if you look at Iris Dina, a ship that came to India at India's invitation for Milan 2026, a naval exercise organized by India. That ship is fully unarmed. There are young children, literally teenagers, on the ship, and the US attacks it and kills, I think, 87 sailors died. India does nothing, just 14 nautical miles. So it's outside our national border. India says that we want to maintain the security of the Indian Ocean. India wants to be the leader in the Indo-Pacific, and it can't take responsibility of guests who came to your country just to 14 nautical miles from your shore. It was Sri Lanka which came to the rescue. India is so afraid of even saying one word that could irritate Donald Trump. And that is why India is losing this diplomacy contest with Pakistan. In India's efforts to try to alienate Pakistan, it is alienating itself. And Pakistan is increasingly, thanks to Donald Trump's efforts, becoming more and more central. Pakistan doesn't have much leverage in Europe. It had lost its leverage in the Middle East, but now with the defense pact with Saudi Arabia, it has become central. Saudi Arabia is easily the most important country in the Gulf, and it is aligned now with Pakistan. The United States is easily the most important country in the world, and is reaching out to Pakistan, not India, to do its second-tier diplomacy. Anyway, that's the point that I wanted to make. Thank you for watching Conversations. Do like this video, press the bell icon, share this video with your socio-political network, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Try and become a member if you can. I will be coming back again to talk a little bit more about other issues that are very important, particularly about BRICS. So I will be back at 10:30 p.m. India time, 1 p.m. US time, and speak in Hindi and Urdu about what's happening to BRICS. BRICS was supposed to be the alternative to G7. The alternative global structure without Western hegemony was, but where is BRICS? Iran is a member of BRICS, and there's no statement from BRICS. Come on, it's been a month now. Surely they have some internet connection. They're able to talk to each other on the phone or Zoom. Maybe they're sending handwritten letters, but even they should reach by now. So what is happening with BRICS? We'll talk about that 1 o'clock. Take care.